Hi, Sophia.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you for joining us. It's very early for you, and I really appreciate you being here with us.
It's okay.
So, what I want to do is to do a little quick interview with you, and then
Mhm.
let them ask any questions that they want. Does that work for you?
Yep, that sounds
Okay,
great.
thank you. So I was just telling them that I stumbled across you in the Insta Love group of authors on Facebook, and you replied to somebody who was saying, how do I do a mailing list? How do I do newsletters? That kind of things. And you provided like this whole blueprint of everything I have been trying to teach for the last 2 years. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's an example. And if she will come and talk to us, there's nothing better than seeing what principles are, but actually put into purpose, actually being done. Could you go ahead? Would you go ahead and introduce yourself to us to make sure, tell us about all of the things that you're doing, and then we'll get into some questions about how do you do your marketing?
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm an Aussie, so forgive my accent. I'm also an alpaca farmer. So if my girls wake up outside, you will hear them when they wake up, and they'll be a little bit noisy outside. And also, my three kids will possibly come in from this side as well and invade us in a little while. My husband comes home from America in a couple of hours. They're very excited to see him. He's been away for the last week. So I've been solo parenting. I write full time. I've got 6 pen names. I do kid lit right through to romance, quite a few things in between as well. And I get up at 4 in the morning to feed my animals, and then I write through to usually about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I do skill run in between, and writing and publishing is basically my life. So this is my jam. This is what I do. I had kids in between, and it's a lot of fun. We're a neurodivergent family. There's 5 of us in the house. It is loud, it's crazy, it's mad, it's creative, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of noise. For somebody who is a hermit and loves silence, it's a lot of noise, but we have a lot of fun here. My husband is a returned veteran, for anybody that's a military family as well. So there's a lot of military and PTSD in my books as well, a lot of neurodivergent characters, domestic violence characters as well, and recovering families. I do focus on marketing a lot because to make a full-time living, you do have to market your work as well. I do acquisitions for Evernight and Evernight Teen. And in February, I took over 2 years with them, which is fantastic. I worked that out the other day. That was good fun. I do a few events a year for book signings. And I did 25 years worth of sales and marketing in fine jewellery. So I do love seeing customers and readers and actually getting out and seeing people again. So that's something that I really do love, is getting out and meeting people again and meeting other readers and authors. And networking is really important. You find all sorts of things that you've been missing through the year. So for me at the moment, I am trying to get my enormous backlist, which my husband has made a gorgeous storeroom for me to get out of my very messy study that you can't see behind me because I've blurred the background, thankfully. And so I've made some floor space there. It's gone into my messy study. And now I'm starting to work on making special editions for all my copies. So that's my next step up, so that I won't be taking plain paperbacks to signings. I'll be taking special editions instead for next year. So that's where my goals are for next year.
That is absolutely amazing. And you talked real fast, and that's fine because it was just like, oh my gosh, it's so much. So I want to talk to you about your marketing because you have grown a mailing list of 33,000, which is, how does that help you sell books?
It's like I had this conversation with a friend the other day. For anybody that was back, and I don't know if kids still do this. I've tried to get my kids into it. For anybody that had a pen pal, that was the generation that had a pen pal back in the day. I think I had about 5 or 6 of them over the years. I think I had one in England, one in Finland. I had one in India for a period because a girlfriend had a father that did travel to India. So I wrote to her daughter, one of his workmates' daughters. It was great. You got to see part of the world because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have
Mhm.
chats until I was about, I think, 17 or 18. So, and I used to love, once we got the chats, I was into chats. I was all over the world. I wanted to see what the world looked like. Writing to people and having pen pals was how we got to see the world back then. You sent photos, you sent bookmarks to each other. I still have a couple of embroidered bookmarks and leather press bookmarks. You sent stamps to each other. You had dodgy little stamp collections. They were fantastic. I used to love those. I think mine died in a flood one time. Writing those letters A newsletter is exactly the same as writing letters to a pen pal. You're writing a dedicated letter to a dedicated person. I am not writing to 33,000 people. I am writing to one person. Each time I write that letter, I don't care if I'm writing it to my mum or my mum's friend Isabel, who's in Newcastle. My mum's in a nursing home. She doesn't know who I am, by the way. She's got dementia. Or I'm writing to my mum's friend Isabel, who has known mum since she was 16 and used to work with her. She's on my newsletter list. She buys all my books. Or one of my daughter's grandmother is on my newsletter list. She reads all my smuttiest books. I give her all copies of every new release when we go to school things. Or if it's somebody who's in a different continent who prints off copies of everything that I write and takes to her book club and she's in Canada, I get replies to things. I'm not writing to groups. I'm writing to those individual people. And when I tell them what's going on in my author life, I'm writing that letter individually to them. And I think that's the important part, is that you are not specifically personalizing it as a top line individually as a letter, but having the mindset that you're writing to one person, that this is a conversation you're having with a reader. And it makes it less formidable as a task, that you're not, oh my God, what am I writing? It's, I've just got to pop this down. It's a quick conversation with my reader. And then I'm just going to go through my structure. So my newsletter has a specific structure. I have the quick conversation up the top. Here's my new releases. Here's the pre-orders. This is what's coming up. This is what I'm working on. Here's my newsletter swaps, which is where I do a swap with another author or a group of authors for, here's my cover. They put my cover or my blurb or whatever we've agreed on into their newsletter. You do a swap with a like audience. And hopefully each other gets other readers clicking on your books. You get some extra sales. And I do some book fairs through BookFunnel and Story Origin. Again, same deal. You get some new subscribers or you get some sales through that. You sign off, you say goodbye, and that's it. I do that 4 times a month. I've got a big backlist. You don't have to do it as often as I do. If you send out consistently once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a month, whatever you do, as long as you do it consistently, that's actually all that matters. If you just do it when you have a book release, that's okay too. But look, try and do it a bit more often. Just have a conversation with your readers.
Okay, so what you have just said to us, and I don't know if you recognize it, is when you say you're talking to a specific reader, you have already created an avatar of who your reader is. You've actually described it for us. It was your friend Isabel, or it was whatever. So you have avatars of people who buy and read your books and who read your newsletters, which is really great. And I love the way that you said this, is that you have actually pictured that person, and you know that person, and you know them. And that makes it a lot easier to write to them as a pen pal. And having the structure together for a newsletter makes it a lot easier for you on your side, because you know you're just hitting the points. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the same structure for everything. And the consistency. The consistency is important. And that is how it lands in people's mailboxes, and they look forward to it. And if you ever have a chance to miss, do you get emails from people saying, did you take me off the list, or did you forget to write to me? Do you have that kind of thing happen to you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I have quite a big art team as well for advanced copies that I send out before, to get reviews before the book goes live. And I had one lovely lady fall off that, who, bless her heart, and I release anywhere between, yes, it's going to be horrific here, 1 and 5 books a month. And she makes me a video for every single book. She puts music to it, she puts text to it, and she puts it out on social media across everything. She does this for a couple of authors. They are beautiful. They're stunning. You can tell she's read the whole book. She does the whole story in a video in about 3 minutes. It's beautiful. And she fell off one of my newsletter lists. I don't know how. The newsletter just bumped her. It's a much smaller segment of the group. And I was like, wow, you've fallen off there. So we created a new segment. She's in a segment on her own, so she can't get bumped. So she's just there on her own. She's got 100% open rate, 100% click rate. I haven't been getting these newsletters for about 6 months. And I looked at her and went, oh, there's a problem here. So as of next month, I'm changing my newsletter provider. I'm going back to MailerLite, which is going to cost me a small fortune. It's going to cost me about $300 a month, my currency. And I'm just going to bite the bullet and go with it, because I went through and had a look at all the costs. I spoke to a couple of the really big powerhouses that we've got that are multi-million-dollar authors each year, and for deliverability and reliability. It's just, from what I can see, it's the best one. And I've known this for quite a while. I know this in my head, so I'm going with it.
Yes. So were you on SendFox? Is that what you had been using?
I am. Yeah, I am. And it's
Yeah.
been great because while I was growing and as a budget option, it's been fantastic. But now I need it to be much more reliable. And I know that I have known this in my head for over a year. I've just been sitting on it, but I know it's time for a change.
Okay. All right. Then I did have another question for you. How do you grow your mailing list? Because people fall off, even though maybe not the special ones who are actually providing work and things for you, but regular ones,
Yeah.
because if they're on Gmail or Yahoo or any of the other ones, depending on, sometimes they get kicked off and bounced and do soft bounces, and all of the mailing list people will just put them off and they have to come back on, in other words. That's just life. But so there's an attrition rate that, people leave and then you're always adding new people. So you said that you were using the back copy, the back material in your books. Is that the most effective for you? And what do you
I
put
think
in an
there's quite a
example?
few. Yeah. I think there's quite a few different ways that you need to have lots of points of entry and you've got to keep people warm, I think are the two most important things. So having lots of points of entry, I have 9 reader magnets. So I think it's really important that they're for different series, they're for different pen names, and it's important to have lots of places where people can find you and get onto your newsletter list. So for each series, people can get into the newsletter list from either a series starter. I've got 2 series that you can join because they're perma-frees at the beginning of series that were first free in series because they were originally wide series. So that was the strategy we used back then. They're on KU now, but that was the strategy back then. So they're points of entry. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll try and slow down.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to tell people they can turn the captions on. I'm reading your captions because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's talking so fast I can't hear it. But the captions
Sorry.
will
It's an
automatically come on
Aussie
at the
trait.
bottom.
I'm so sorry. Yeah,
No,
we go
no, it's
fast. I am
fine.
sorry. So yep, you have lots of points of entry. Make sure that your reader magnets are on theme for what you write. So I've got some Kidlit ones that are quite obsolete because when I first started writing, Kidlit was the first thing that I started writing. But the Kidlit that I was writing then that you can get onto my mailing list is not the same Kidlit that I'm putting out now. So it doesn't relate across. So I need to revamp that. It won't be this next 3 months because I don't have time, but it's in my mind that I need to go back and probably sacrifice a book or part of a series and put that as a reader magnet so that I've got a point of entry there that is relevant, leave the back matter in so that the rest of the series flows across, so that you're funneling people from that reader magnet. They go and then click through the rest of the series. Same deal with full adult books and other fiction. Make sure that it leads in correctly, that if they're going to click on that book and get it as a freebie for a reader magnet, that they're going to then want to get to the end of the book and what's the next book in series, or how do they get into the rest of your series, or is there a spin-off? What character are they going to follow? If you want to read the rest of this character's story, how do they follow them? Which next book do they click on so that it's an instant buy for them? It's a one click. For bonus epilogues, they are fantastic. So I think this is where Sarah found me, is bonus epilogues are great because the reader has already invested in your story. They've already read your book. So these are organic traffic. If you lead it in really well, sorry, I'm having a hot flush here, don't mind me. They work really well because the reader is already invested with your story. What you do is you seed a scene around a third or a halfway into the book. So say it's a picnic scene or a steamy scene, you seed the idea of it. 2/3 of the way through, you seed the idea of it again, and it's a hidden scene that you don't see. You skip over it, like a fade to black scene, or it's something that's mentioned, but it's not on the page. Then you get to the end of the book, and it's mentioned again in the epilogue. You get right to the end after the epilogue. Would you like to see such and such as scene, the picnic scene, the steamy scene, whatever it is that you've called it? Click here to read it. Go straight to a download scene on BookFunnel or Story Origin or however it is that you get people to lead into your newsletter. It is an EPUB with a full cover, the same cover as that book. So you don't have to make a new one, with a little circle on it that you've made up like a button that says bonus epilogue. So you don't have to invest any extra money on it. You've just made the little button up in Canva. It says bonus epilogue, nice and big, slap in the middle of the cover or up to the top corner. They click on it and it's the scene. So it could be 2,000 words, 3,000 words. It doesn't have to be big. It is enough to satisfy their need. You've covered your bum. They have read through it and they've gone, I feel like I've gotten enough extra content to justify giving away my email address, because that's the buy-in. They've bought something extra from you. You want to make sure that they don't feel gypped. You don't want to make them feel as though you have sold them something extra. A freebie is a really hard sell. It's the hardest thing you will ever sell, is something for free, because you have to make sure people don't feel like you have sold them something. It's a tough little mindset. You don't want to feel as though you are scammy. You don't want to ruin your brand on it. You have just sold them a beautiful, premium, gorgeous, luxury product book you have worked your bum off on. You have made a gorgeous book. It's taken you however long it took you to create and write. You have spent however much money on the cover and the editing, and now you've got a bonus epilogue. Don't ruin that product on a crappy little bonus epilogue. Make it beautiful, make it gorgeous, make it part of your brand. It has to be the same as the rest of the book. It's not a quick 500 word shoved at the end giveaway. Make sure it's got a happy ending, whatever it is that your brand is. If you write a thriller, have a twist at the ending. Whatever it is that's your voice, make sure it is consistent with your branding. Do put your back matter at the end about the author still. Lead into the next book. Have a call to action at the end of it. What's the next book that you want them to buy? Because you're still funneling to the next book at the other end. So please have everything packaged up really well at the other end, because you are still funneling. You still want them to be a consistent super fan and to get through to the next book and the next book and the next book. If there is a pre-order, have the pre-order link, but always remember to update that pre-order after it stops being a pre-order as well.
Okay, and so this would also work for, we have a couple of traditionally published authors here,
Yes.
and it would work for them if they have the rights to it. They, instead of advertising it in the back copy, they could use social media or their newsletter to send it out there. Is that not true? They can do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I tried to do that with this one, with Dead Poet Sorority. I tried to do that. I wrote 4 endings for this book. I used only one of them got used in the special edition that went out through Forbidden Wing last month, and we aren't allowed to use the rest of them at all. So it depends on your contract. It depends on your editor. Speak to your publisher. Highly recommend, because if you do something around it, you may not get another contract.
Yeah. All right. Then forget that. Okay.
Yeah. Some smaller publishers you have a lot more leeway with, and they will often let you do whatever you like. Big 5, often very tight.
Okay, let's talk about newsletter swaps. How do you find, so one of the things that you mentioned, which I thought was really important, is you just don't do it with your friends per se if they don't share the same genre as you're doing it. So tell us about the importance of that.
Okay, so if you're doing a newsletter swap, I do all mine through Story Origin. For one reason, I'm really crap at fulfillment. So if you message me and say, hey, can we do a newsletter swap? I'll say, if you're not on Story Origin, I won't do it, because it keeps me accountable, because it has a little list for me, and this may not work for anyone. I'm not affiliated. This is just a system that works for me. I don't have a PA at all. I do everything myself because I'm a total control freak. I like it because it tells me I need to send out a newsletter, and it tells me that if I don't do it, it's going to tell other people that I haven't sent out my newsletter swap, and it'll tell them that that it's gotten 0 clicks on it. That keeps me really accountable. Other people run a spreadsheet. You can run forms. You can have a doc open with who you've got swaps with. So you can have whatever system suits you well. Don't have nothing, because you will forget somebody and then you'll be in strife, because this community is really big on reputation. If you forget somebody, it's not great. Swap with people who are in a similar genre to you. Your friends are lovely. Your friends are awesome. If they don't write in the same genre, if they don't have a like audience, get them to swap with somebody else. Set them up with somebody else who also writes kid lit or a mystery or thriller or academy or paranormal or monster smart or whatever else it is that they write. We have different pen names often for a reason. Some people, I write with Jade Marshall. She has everything under one pen name. I am in awe of her. That's fantastic. The algorithm works for her beautifully. I can't. I had things under one pen name. It was a big mess and nothing ever sold. So I separated out, because if I didn't separate out my audiences, because I write so broad and varied, and my Kidlit and my RH and my Smut should not ever be on the same page together. It didn't work out for me. So I split it into pen names because the audiences had to be split and defined for Amazon to show them to anyone and to get the books to sell. So find your like audiences. If you write Monster Smut, swap with Monster Smut might cross over from a gargoyle, can also probably swap with somebody who writes alien fiction. You've probably got a like audience there. That's okay. Don't swap with a cozy mystery. It's not going to work out so well.
Yeah. Okay. So I know it was a funnel question. So when somebody signs up for that, do you have a funnel for each of your magnets?
Yes.
And do you go
absolutely.
in and, so how long is your funnel? How many emails?
3. I like 3 because I think, and mine's a personal one. If I receive more than 3, I will probably unsubscribe. So that's a personal thing. Some people say that 5 is the best. Play around with it. I think 1 is probably too short. My first one is a quick response. It's immediate. Thank you for subscribing. It's just a recognition email. Thanks for subscribing. I'll talk to you later. Bye. The next one is a follow one. I think it comes up with, and I will be redoing these next week, so they may change a little bit, but I think it comes up with, thanks for subscribing. Don't forget that you've got this reader magnet. Here's a picture of the cover. You can re-download it just in case you've deleted it. Please read through. Here's the rest of the series, and here's places you can follow me, blum, blum, blum. I'll be back with some more free goodies later. I think the next one comes through 2 or 3 days later, and it's 2 first chapters in series that I want to funnel you directly to on the call to action, and then you go straight into the rest of my normal email stream. There is a question. There is a question in there. Keeping them warm. I didn't cover this before. There is a question in there. Is what I think at the moment is, what tropes do you like to read? I'll probably change this up as well. But what tropes do you like to read? Oh, sorry, that's my kids are getting up. Sorry. What tropes do you like to read? Keeping them warm is important because if they don't reply to one of those emails, it doesn't whitelist them. Listing is important. You want them to get into the habit of, 1, clicking on covers, because you want to train them to click on the covers, and you want them to reply to your emails. They keep the conversation flowing. So my inbox afterwards, I go back in 2 days after I send a newsletter, and I go back through and I reply to everything that has replied to me to keep the conversation flowing, and it keeps your click rate up and your open rate up. So whitelisting is making sure that your emails don't go to spam. So if they're replying to you, it means that your emails are staying out of spam boxes. So that's a good thing, because there are so many things in a newsletter that will send you to spam from what you put in your header. It might be things like free book. If you don't write F-R-3-E-3-3 instead of writing F-R-E-E, it'll go to spam. Sometimes there's a little health check on the bar that'll write A+ or D, or there are other ways to see it. If you write book blast, you'll go to spam. If you write sale with exclamation marks, you'll go to spam. There are so many ways to go to spam. If you have more book covers than there are text, you'll go to spam. If you have a huge email, it'll go to spam. There are so many ways to go to spam. If you have more people replying to you each week, you are less likely to go to spam than others. So that's one way whitelisting is one way to stay out of spam.
And the other thing for the Gmail things, it moves it from promotion box to their inbox.
Yes.
So once they do that. Okay. So you have, and how often do you update the funnel? So it was very interesting. You said, and I think 3 is a great number, because you have to do odd, because if you don't do odd, people's minds don't work. So you need to stick with odd. And that's a really good thing. I think you've covered. So how long did it take you to get to build your mailing list? How many years? It's years. I know it's years.
This didn't start mine until I was about 6 months in, because I didn't even realize that newsletters were a thing, and somebody poked me. So I sat down and I did it that day, and oh God, it was horrible. I still remember sitting at the kitchen table and looking up YouTube, which I also hated at that point, because my baby was about 9 months old and I wasn't doing anything but babies at that point. I was just still breastfeeding and I wasn't sleeping. So I remember looking up MailChimp and trying to figure out how to make it work. And then I had to have a reader magnet, and oh God, it was too much. I was still in the phase of quick, make this platform and that platform. And it was so much. It was awful. I think it took me about a year to get to 10,000. And I do I do a stack of newsletter promotions on BookFunnel every month. I don't run ads. I know that Elle Thorpe runs ads to her reader magnets, and she has a newsletter of around 120,000, but she also has bonus epilogues for the back of every single book. I am still going back through to do bonus epilogues for every single book. When you have a big backlist, it takes a lot of time because you are still producing and you are still backlisting. So it's a split between the two. And at the moment, I've still got horrifically 6.5 books left to write for the end of the year. So at the moment, we're just in production mode, not backlist mode.
So how old is your baby now? The one
my
that you were
baby is
breastfeeding?
She's now 7.
So we're going to say it took 6 years to build your
Yeah, it took
list of
6 years.
33,000.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they can do it overnight, which they cannot do. It's what you do today is going to pay off 2 years from now. What you don't do today is going to pay off in 2 years from now. It means you won't get anything.
And look, in between that, you're scrubbing lists, you're cleaning lists out. You're going to possibly lose it at some point. Back up your list. Please back up your list monthly or quarterly. Make a point. Put it in your diary, in your calendar. Do something to back up your list. If you have it on BookFunnel, that's great. But if BookFunnel crashed, what are you going to do? And always back everything up. Please back everything up. Run it through your website.
Do you have your list too? Do you have your list segmented? So do you send out the same newsletter to everybody, or do you send out a different newsletter to each of your segments?
I have 26 segments. It doesn't all go out to everybody. Something similar goes out to most people, but not to everyone, because the Kidlit people do not get the same mailing list. The P&R people don't get the same mailing list. The YA people get a slightly adjusted mailing list, because if it's got a couple of F-bombs in there, they're not going to get that one. It just depends who the audience is. Yes, so the different pen names have different newsletters. So the segments are specific segments for either pen names or from where the incoming people came from. So I want to know what's working promotion-wise. If it came from a bonus epilogue, I want to see where you came from and what the redundancy rate is. So how fast they're culling, how fast they're dropping off the list, how long they stay for, how much they open, how much they click, because that tells me whether or not these people are engaged readers, if they are people who are hanging out for a while, or if they are not doing anything at all, because that's where I'll put my time and effort into. Because if something isn't working now, I will cut it away. It doesn't mean I won't come back to it later, but for now I will cut it away, because I do not have enough time and energy to sit on something that is not working and just plow energy and time into it over and over again if it's not going to have a long-term payoff right now. I don't have enough hours in the day. I also have chronic fatigue. So my energy is now through to about 11 o'clock in the morning is my biggest energy. Now through to 11 o'clock is also my kids' highest energy time. So it's a big battle. So it's a lot of fun.
But I can see that.
Yeah. So they're still asleep, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Normally they're by now.
Okay, I think that's all of my questions. And does anybody else have questions? You can go ahead and either turn it on if you want to go ahead and talk, if you want to say it, or you could put it in chat and I'll read it. I don't want to keep her too long, because this is a woman who got up at 5 o'clock, has got the kids and the alpacas and everything else. But this is diamond stuff that you need. Go ahead, Meg.
You knew I had a question. So
you turned off.
Sophia, I'm quite seriously trying to understand how you do this. You have 6 more books you're trying to finish before the end of the calendar year?
Yep. Yeah, I write very fast though. And I have broken hand as well, because I got caught in an alpaca halter 3 weeks ago. So this was very exciting. So at the moment I'm tapping like a T-Rex, but I also dictate, and I can do 2,500 words each way on the way back to and from school, because school is 40 minutes away. So that's 5,000 words just on school run. I can do another 5,000 words at home, and then I edit the whole lot. That's 10,000 words a day. So that is how I get words down.
And how do you think you obviously know, you break up your time between marketing and writing?
Yeah, so I time block a lot. ADHD family, time blocking works for us. It doesn't work for everybody, but it just seems to be what works for us. My early morning is, if I get up really early, I can get 1,000 or 2,000 words down before the kids get up, or I can get them organized for the day. I do all my admin, clean my emails out and all my messages before 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I don't look at it for the rest of the day, because if I stay on socials, I will get nothing done. So I get rid of it. It's done. Everything urgent is done. Also, because I'm in Australia, that time block works best for me, because that gets I do a lot with the UK. So the UK is on for me after about 9 o'clock at night, from 9 to 11 at night, I have with them, or from 4 in the morning till about 6 in the morning. Also, my co-author is in South Africa. So 4 in the morning to 6 in the morning is the only time I get with her, is our only crossover each day. So I get all my messages out of the way, and then the rest of the day is mine. That's it. So if I want to do marketing, again, high energy early in the morning, you can hear it. Energy is up. By the time I hit 11 o'clock, I'm ready for a nap. So marketing gets done, make a couple of graphics, throw it out there and let it go. Then it's all writing, it's all craft. And that's my happy place. That's my wonderful place. The kids are at school and I can just cruise for the rest of the day.
Okay. Deborah, do you have a question?
Yes, for an author who has a sizable backlist and multi-genre, but falling under romance, that has just a basic newsletter in place, where would you start to implement these new things?
Okay. What reader magnets have you got, or what have you got started?
I don't have reader magnets yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's a great place to start. So I would look at your series. I would look at your top selling series, and I would start with those. And I would do either a prequel or a side story for your top 3 selling series. And I would start with those, and I would just do one at a time and just do one for each. And I would get BookFunnel. I think you can get the medium, or I would go with the medium level of BookFunnel, and I would start with that one. If you've already got a career going, that's probably your best investment. I would deal with that. And then I would add other things later. But look at your top 3, and that would be your first 6 months or first 9 months of next year, depending how fast you write. And your reader magnet doesn't have to be big. I've got ones that have done really well that are under 10,000 words, that have been fantastic, that have picked up 15,000 subscribers in a couple of months. So as long as they're on genre, and some of them have been covers I've made myself on Canva. And look, I'm not a designer. That's not my forte, but I've done them myself. So if I can do it, anyone can do it, let's be honest. But otherwise, get a pre-made or get your designer to do something for it. But yeah, if you've got something, find a point of entry in that series. I'm sure there is something that you can think of. Yeah.
It's just having too many choices. This is helping me to narrow that down, because I have to pick one to start with. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I get it. Yeah. Look at the figures. The statistics is where I would look at. Do a really deep dive into what's making money and what's not. Okay. Don't worry about the others for now. Pick your bestsellers.
Anybody else?
When you're on social media, are you telling people about your newsletter, or is everybody reaching you through the back matter in your book? Or how do you drive? I'm not self-published, but I'm trying to figure out ways to drive people to my newsletter. Social media, I don't know if I could write the extra epilogue. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah.
But ideas for when you write those newsletters, do you just talk about everyday stuff? Or I hear your structure, and that makes sense. That's the one thing I struggle to make myself feel interesting.
Yep, that's fair. So you're traditional, aren't you? You've got traditional books out, so you can't alter stuff. Okay. Have you got your website in the back matter?
Yes, it's in the back of the ebooks. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. I would drive people to your website. I would make that your base, and have a pop-up or a newsletter tab or whatever on your website that you can drive people to there. And that way you're driving them to one hub, and have that as your link on all your social, and it's consistent. And then you can also have that in the back matter of any of your other books. And if you have reader magnets and you put them on BookFunnel, you put that in the back of the reader magnets. And that's where you drive people to constantly to sell your other books from the reader magnet.
Gotcha.
Okay, is the call to action. But you collect people through BookFunnel as a free reader. So you can still do that. And you can, if it's a traditionally published book, you might have to have a look at your contract because there will be first rights, but you can do something that is that's a separate world, or still feels like this world, but it's not quite the same, and just a standalone small story, and get a pre-made cover for under $100. That's what I would recommend, because that way it's not the same and you're not going to get in trouble with your publisher. But you can still drive people to your newsletter list and collect people that way. With BookFunnel, because they're freebie hunters, you are going to have an attrition rate. So people are going to fall off it as unsubscribers. Do not worry about the unsubscribe rate. People sometimes get really in their head about how many people are unsubscribing as freebie hunters. Don't worry about that. If they're freebie hunters and they fall off, that's okay. They were never going to be your super fans, but you do want to keep the people who can be your super fans warm and talk to them regularly. So that's important. As to what you say, author life is really important. People love author life. They want to see what we do. If it is driving in your car and plotting something in your car, that's okay. If it's I plotted in the shower, if it's I fed my roses, I had my roses were eaten by aphids this year. So we spent 3 months as a newsletter list relifing my roses. There were photos of the aphids. There were photos of the roses being relifed. I had people from 3 different continents talking to me about how they save their roses. We have gone through things from we hose them to what products people use, Dawn dishwashing, if anybody wants to know, putting cinnamon around the dirt on the bottom to stop the larvae from crawling up out of the earth. I had no idea on any of this stuff. One girl was into food to kill larvae and things like that. I had no idea. Anyway, it sparked this enormous conversation. We had it going all over the place. And each week I shared all the information. So it sparked this huge conversation. So add stuff in. One of my biggest newsletters about 2 years ago was I went on this accidental tirade about imposter syndrome. At the time, I felt I just had this massive problem with imposter syndrome. And if anybody feels that middle-listers, big sellers, traditional published authors, indie authors, all indie authors, any author doesn't get imposter syndrome, they're full of shit. All of us have imposter syndrome at some point, if not every day. I struggle with it nearly every day and I just write through it. It was my biggest opened email ever. One lady in Canada printed it off for 4 pages for her book club of 200 people and read it out. So just writes what is in you that day to write. My next biggest one was my slippers for Mother's Day, not with my feet in it. It wasn't OnlyFans. They loved it. I said, this is what my kids got me. And here was my fluffy pink slippers. They're still my favorite slippers. They're really good ones. But people love them. And then I got pictures of slippers back. So people just love what you are doing. So share with them. They've downloaded the book. They want to see who you are. So share something with them. I very rarely do pictures of my kids, but I do lots of pictures of my garden and my animals. That's part of my brand. So find something that is you. Maybe it's your bookshelf. Maybe it's your coffee cup. Maybe it's your Christmas tree. Whatever it is that makes you you. Do something.
Okay, thank you.
Walking on the beach, Mary. We all love it when you walk on the beach.
I know. I've got to do more of that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're writing, it's hard to remember to do these things, but I get you.
Does anybody else have another question? I'm really trying to be, I'm really grateful, Sophia, that you came, and I don't want to take too much of your time if possible, but I really want to say how much I appreciate this. And I think that the other people here also appreciate it. You dropped some real gems on us, and I don't know any woman who has a business or does anything who does not have imposter syndrome. That is true, that they're full of bullshit if they say that they don't. But anyway, okay. So if there's not anything else, last chance.
Sophia, what book of yours would you recommend starting with if I wanted to read one of your books?
Oh, if you like cowboys, it would be Snow on the Range. If you like sports romance, it would be Puck Me Sideways. And thank you for asking.
And one other question. Sarah said she met you through the InstaLove group on Facebook. Is that where you're devoting all of your time now to short novels?
No, I do a real mix. I love novellas because they're quite easy and quick to get out there. I do a lot of shared worlds because of their fun, and I love the community of doing shared worlds. It's just, they're group projects, they're a bit of fun. But the book that I'm editing for Storm Publishing at the moment is 96,000 words. The one that I'm sending to my agent is 108. You know, it's a big mix, honestly. Yeah, it's a huge range.
Okay, tell me the second title one more time that you said.
Is Puck Me Sideways. The next book in that comes out in 10 days.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. Sophia, thank you so much for being here with us. And I really do appreciate it. And have a great day. You're tomorrow, right? You're in Saturday for you.
Yeah, we're Saturday. Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me on. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That is it. I thought it was really important to bring somebody in who's really practicing the things that I talk about all the time. And it's really great to see that it works for people, and that it's not just we should try and do things. And she's given us a lot of things to think about, no matter what kind of publisher you're working with, and any genre really too. So yes, Diane, I am going to be doing more of these. I'm going to just start inviting more people to come in. We're still going to do some. So I just wanted to say for the future, we're doing it on the first and the third Friday of every month at 1 o'clock.